Hunters. This week we have a brand new Drift Smelting Bonanza, and with it, a new Driftstone that brings a new skill that greatly boosts charging weapons like Greatsword, Hammer, and Bow. And once again, during this event, all Driftstones only cost 1 kilometer to smelt. So no matter what your build goals are, now is the time to grind. Will you be focusing on Greatsword, Hammer, Bow, or something else? Make your decision after watching this week's episode of Hunter's Notes Grinding Guide. Let's start by quickly covering the event details and then jump into builds and recommendations. The monsters with boosted spawns this week are all centered around the Thunder element and are as follows. Zinogre in the forest, swamp, and tundra habitats. Rajang in the desert, tundra, forest, and swamp habitats. Tobi-Kadachi and Riftborn Tobi-Kadachi in the forest and swamp habitats. Kezu in the swamp and tundra habitats. Tsitsiaku in the desert and swamp habitat. And exclusively Kirin in Elder Dragon Interceptions. And also, Hunters, I've made it this far into the summer without any kind of cold, but my nose is starting to get stuffy because I guess my kids brought home a summer cold, so I might get more stuffy-nosed as the video goes on, so bear with me, sorry. Here are the hat lineups for this week. If you're trying to max out Zin or Rajang, the bottom hat there would be worth your time. And if you want to get a head start on grinding Anjanath parts for Fulgur, then you could focus on this one. But even if you don't have a focus, these hats will help you clear quests quickly this week. Overall, nothing super exciting for me here, so I'll be focusing all my attention on Kirin. During this event, you'll get 2 of each material in the first and second slot of basic rewards if you slay any of the previously mentioned boosted monsters, and in EDIs the reward will be the same for repelling, but if you slay Kirin, then you'll get 2 of each materials in the first to 4th slots of basic rewards. So this is the perfect time to grind Kirin if you've been neglecting it like me. I'll go over Fulgur's the best part of waking up. Fulgur Anjanath in your cup. I'll go over Fulgur Anjanath on the grinding guide for the release week of Fulgur, but for now, I'll just say that the build that I'm working on for Fulgur requires me to get the Kirin waste to grade 8, so I'll be focusing on that this week. If you're working on thunder weapons, Tsitsi, Tobi, and Kezu can be low investment, relatively beginner-friendly thunder weapons, while you build materials towards Zinogre or Kirin for crit element thunder, or Rajang for negative affinity thunder builds. But again, you might want to hold off for Fulgur Anjanath depending on where you are in the building process and how high you are in the game, because its weapons have positive affinity for melee and bow with 1 point of crit element stock, and negative affinity for bowguns with 1 point of crit ferocity stock. So the developers are literally telling us like, hey, use Fulgur Anjanath stuff for thunder element because the other weapons are getting power crept. Not to mention, its armor has an exclusive skill that boosts your thunder attack based on the amount of HP you have. I only tell you this because I don't want you to grind hard for thunder weapons this week, and then in like 2 or 3 weeks, it's just completely obsolete. But during the event, slaying any large monster other than Kirin, Zinogre, Rajang, Tobi-Kadachi, Kezu, and Tsitsiaku will give you a higher chance of receiving normal Crimson, Azure, Amber, Cyan, and Pale Driftstones. But during the event, slaying any large monster may reward you with the mysterious Driftstone Eye. And if you slay any of the event boosted monsters, including Kirin, it will guarantee you a mysterious Driftstone Eye drop. Regular Driftstones will not drop from these monsters, so make sure you clear out your entire Driftstone inventory before this week starts so you can get as many 1 kilometer stones as possible, even if you aren't going for Driftstone Eye. Just note that Drift Gems, including Drift Gem Eye, will still require 5 kilometers to smelt into your armor. Also, Drift Gem Eye will be exchangeable for Driftstone shards, so nothing to worry about there if you want to just grind up your Driftstone shards and like guarantee that you get the Drift Gem with the new skill Timed Charger or Headstrong. For Headstrong, we've had it in an event before, and it boosts raw damage by up to 40% at level 5 after not evading for 10 seconds. For Time Charger, it increases the raw attack power by up to 70% at level 5 when executing a well-timed attack after performing a charged action. That's a crazy percentage. Now, I'm not quite sure what a well-timed attack exactly means, but it's safe to assume that it just means if you charge up any attack and you release, then when you hit, your damage will be boosted by the percentage of the level that your time charger is. This is also raw damage. Now, at first I thought about combining a couple points of Headstrong and Time Charger each, but since they're both Driftstone exclusive skills, there's no combination of the two that allows for a bigger boost than Time Charger 5, since it increases attack power by 70% when executing a well-timed attack after performing a charged action. Plus, Headstrong requires you to stay still for quite a while, and Greatsword actually benefits greatly from perfect evading, then charging, which is perfect for the new skill. The only time that I'd recommend using a combination of the two is if you already have Headstrong on a build that you've been working on for a while, and you're just putting Time Charger in and just having both on as you wait for Time Charger 5. So for charging weapons, I honestly do not recommend Headstrong like at all, unless you are like a heavy bowgun main or lance or gun lance or something, and you want to just use this event to grind for Headstrong and then become like a living ballista. We'll have a quest line for the event that includes slaying like Zinogre and Rajang that will reward you with some earth crystals and rarity 6s for the respective monsters and wyvern gem shards, plus some insta smelt solutions, so if you want to try for some free pulls or save it for a future event, you can do that. But now, for the builds. This week we'll be focusing on the 3 main charge up weapons, starting with Greatsword, then Hammer, then Bow, in that order. I don't know if the new style change of Longsword, where you can sheath and charge up, is affected by Time Charger, as well as the hop back of the Sword and Shield. I'm not sure if that is affected by that, so I'm not going to cover any of that right now, but maybe if one of those is your main, you'll be pleasantly surprised. I'll pin a comment down below or put something in the description if I get any confirmation on that. And for all of these, since Time Charger is a raw attack boosting skill, we're going to be focusing on just exponentially boosting your raw attack for all of these builds, except for like a few exceptions. If you're interested in elemental builds, just stick with what you have with like crit element or elemental attack if you are newer to the game, but maybe smelt a few time chargers in there if you use a charging weapon. Today, it's all about the raw attack meta. So I've thought of some different playstyles and different ways you could build these builds based on which weapon you're using, so here are a few options that I've come up with. First up, you can try this build that takes advantage of the Easter event Greatsword and its unique ability, Balloon Charge, which increases your raw attack by 15% and expands your weapon whenever you charge up an attack or special skill to the max. Pair that with Time Charger 5, which almost all of these builds will have, Crit Ferocity 5, Raw Power 4, Special Boost 1, and Lock On to boot. This is an extremely powerful build. The only issue is that this build is predicated on whether or not you built this Greatsword during the Easter event, and whether you built it high enough to do good damage. It maxes out at 2286 raw, and I only got mine to 8.3 during the event, so I'm leaving a lot of damage on the table. Not to mention that Tigrex still has higher raw attack, even if it isn't by much, and has 40% negative crit to boost the crit ferocity even more. But with that being said, if you've already got this weapon, give this build a try. It's a ton of fun. By the way, I obviously filmed all of this before Time Charger is out, so any numbers that you're seeing here at all in any of these builds can be possibly boosted by up to 70%. So think about that while you get your steps in this week. Speaking of Tigrex Greatsword, you could get a little resentful and use it with this build. This build leans into the damage that you'll probably be taking while trying to set up true charge slashes with your tackles. At level 3, Resentment boosts your raw damage by 20% for 15 seconds anytime you take damage. Combine this with Crit Ferocity 5, Time Charger 5, Part Breaker 2, Raw Power 2, Lock On, and Tremor Resistance 1, and you're going to be feeling resentful, but getting your revenge in spades. Not to mention that with this build, you'll have 80% negative affinity, so you'll be hitting those Crit Ferocity attacks really often. And if you want to cut out the Part Breaker and give yourself a bit of a break on damage, you can switch out the Black Diablos helm for the Gold Rathian and get 2 points of Divine Blessing. I'm not sure if Divine Blessing and Resentment can trigger at the same time, but I'm pretty sure it can since it's on the same piece of armor. If you're thinking, I'm a pro and I don't get hit, so resentment isn't going to be useful to me at all, I hear you. Maybe try this out. This build gives you full crit Pharaoh and full time charger, but also raw power 4 and focus 2 while keeping lock on thanks to that beautiful Glavinus chest piece. That way you'll be doing the maximum raw damage possible with each charge attack while you charge up faster than normal thanks to the focus. And you might want to save a whole stack of Driftstone Eye or maybe Drift Gem Eye for when Fulgur comes out, because if you swap out the Jury of Greaves for Fulgur, then you get this. So it's literally just a better version of the previous build with all level 5s in crit ferocity, raw power, and time charger, while keeping 2 points of concentration and lock on. Such a cool build. Next, if you want to go a little niche and lean into status, you could try something like this. My thought is to keep most of the boosts, but benefit from heroics if your HP is getting chipped down, and use ailment opportunist and build up boost to perfect evade, charge up, and then get a blast while you simultaneously get the charged boost from time charger. I don't know how viable it is, but it seems really fun to try out, and if you've already got the other builds and you're a Greatsword main, maybe try this out. And speaking of status, we have to talk about the king of Greatsword statuses, Sleep. With this build, we have Rude Awakener 3, boosting your damage by 100% on the first hit of a sleeping monster, Time Charger 5, Crit Ferocity 4, Raw Power 2, Sneak Attack, Lock On, and Status Sneak Attack 1. You'll be taking full advantage of Rude Awakener and possibly hitting a Crit Ferocity hit boosted by the Time Charger. Not only are you going to do insane damage, but it also takes much less skill to pull off. So even if you aren't a Greatsword main, you can just take pot shots and little tackles from behind, ideally, to take advantage of the sneak attack and status sneak attack. And then once the monster falls asleep, you can just TCS or special and end everything in one hit. This build is best played on Gyro, so you can skip the first hit of TCS to deliver the demonic punishment on the second hit. But this build has lock on if you want to just try to range out and keep your lock on and hit it from farther away, miss the first one and hit, but that seems risky to me. I just like playing Gyro. And if you feel like the sneak attack isn't worth it, you can build the Somnicanth Greatsword to take advantage of the 15% negative affinity that is already on the weapon and further boost that crit ferocity chance on the wake up hit. Not to mention that it has a higher sleep status than the Nyx Razor, so this is almost certainly a better choice since the raw attack is only about 200 less when they're both at grade 10. I just already had the Nyx Razor at grade 8, so I wanted to give you that option if you also did. But look at this. My Frilled Blade is only at grade 4.5 here, and it can get this close to taking out 8-star monsters. If I didn't make mistakes on this fight, then I definitely could have got him here. With this build, even though I don't have Time Charger yet, and I only have 2 points of Rude Awakener, I can still feasibly take down 8-star monsters with a grade 4.5 Greatsword. That's cracked. This also means that I'm missing 2 points off of my special, but I do have 1 point of Fighting Spirit here on this build, so that's contributing, but it still doesn't hold a candle to full Rude Awakener plus Time Charger plus the true 3-point special at grade 8. I cannot wait to see the numbers when all of this is done. So those are my recommendations for Greatsword. All of them are great in my eyes, but I think the last one is the simplest and easiest to play for the best payoff. Hopefully that gives you something to chew on for builds for this week for Greatsword. Negative Affinity is just the absolute best option for Raw right now in my opinion, but let me know if you're maybe trying the Narga Greatsword with Positive Affinity and Resus or something, and let me know if there's something I missed here if you're a Greatsword main out there. Special thanks to Sunny in my Discord for answering my copious amounts of questions about Greatsword. Next up, the Hammer. This is my second favorite weapon in Monster Hunter, but I haven't played it much lately, and really, you could plug the equivalent hammers to the Greatsword builds I mentioned earlier and get similar results, but I don't think you're going to end up doing as much damage on single hits. But it may be worth trying out if you're a hammer main. So as not to repeat myself, I looked over all the builds that I could possibly make, and I think that this is the single best raw hammer build that I could come up with. With Crit Ferocity 5, Time Charger 5, Blunt Force 3, Raw Power 2, and Slugger 2, using the Tigrex hammer at grade 8 or above. You're going to be stunning these monsters left and right and then sending them back through the portal faster than me falling off this slip and slide. Look how good this is. This is a freshly forged striped striker, only upgraded one time because that's all I had the materials for, and it's taking out 8 stars with ease using this build. Without Time Charger. With its stock -40 affinity combined with Crit Ferocity and Raw Power, it gives you -80% affinity and Blunt Force, further boosting the charge attack of the hammer before we even get to the boost from Time Charger, and a base attack boost of 200 from the Raw Power, and the extra stun boost from the 2 points of Slugger. This build is unmatched in charge up hammer builds. I cannot wait until I can invest more into this. I should have been grinding Tigrex way more, but I fell off of hammer for a while after I got the gold medal, and now I'm seeing the absolute blast I'm about to have with this build. There aren't really any others I can think of mentioning right now when it comes to builds for the hammer. If you were able to get Blunt Force to level 5, then it would be a different story, because we could be doing a whopping 140 extra damage with a full charge of Blunt Force 5 combined with Time Charger 5. But for now, just make this build. It's amazing. It doesn't have lock on, but I don't know, cry about it. Let's move on to bow. Now, I am really not a bow main, and I don't want this video to go like even longer than it has already, so I'm not going to go too far in depth, but these are the best builds that I could come up with personally. I think they're pretty solid from what I can tell. First up, we have a Black Diablos bow build with Time Charger 5, Focus 4, Crit Ferocity 4, Raw Power 2, Part Breaker 1, Sleep Resistance 1, and Last Stand 1. This only takes 1 point off focus, making your draws still pretty quick, and allows you to take full advantage of every draw with Time Charger. And then leans into the negative affinity of Black Diablos bow, combining Crit Ferocity 4 and Raw Power 2 for the extra raw, and lowering the affinity even more for a total of -60% affinity. And this bow hits really fast, and you only have to charge twice for Pierce level 4, so the rapid fire nature of it allows you to hit Crit Pharaoh really often. Another option is to switch out the legs and grab another point of Crit Ferocity, but I honestly don't think it's worth the slowdown from losing the points of focus. While it doesn't feel too different in the training area, it feels really different when it comes to actual gameplay when fighting monsters. Next up, you could switch out for the Tigrex bow and get an extra point of Crit Ferocity while keeping your focus, but every single level of this bow is spread, so if you don't like playing up close with your bow, this build may be powerful, but it may not be for you. Maybe you could try out Time Charger with a blast bow augmented by the negative affinity and raw skills with one of these builds, subbing out for the Tiastra bow or the Carnival bow if you have one of these higher than Magnum Olive. Or you could use this build to lean into poison with the Chameleos bow and get Time Charger 5, Focus 4, Status Sneak 3, Venomist 3, Valor 2, Crit Ferocity 2, Poison Exploit 1, and Last Stand. Because you can 2-charge Rapid level 4, you should be able to lay down poison really quick, especially from behind with a 100% status build rate when attacking from behind, and then be ticking down huge damage with the raw attack mixed with the poison. Or you could use a budget version of that here with the Ragi bow. Or, if you play a ton of multiplayer, you might want to try to combine it with this Paralysis Exploit build, since it also comes stock with Shared Sword 4. With Time Charger 5, Shared Sword 4, Focus 4, Paralysis Exploit 3, Paralysis Attack 2, Concentration 1, and Last Stand 1. But those are all the builds that I could think of today, hunters. I'm personally super excited for Greatsword and Hammer because those builds are already monstrous without even having Time Charger on. But I have to edit this video and then edit a video for Sensei Seth before I can get out, and I'm trying to get a ton of these Time Chargers this week, so let's recap. All Driftstones this week only cost 1 kilometer to smelt. Get out there and make some sick builds, even if you don't care about Time Charger. Go out hunting with a planned build in mind, hunters. Headstrong is just a worse version of Time Charger, unless you're using heavy bowgun or maybe lance or gun lance. If you're focusing on Time Charger, Sleep Greatsword is probably the biggest bang for your buck with the least amount of skill required, but my goodness, Blunt Force Time Charger Referral Hammer is amazing. Next week is even happier Greatsword hunting, so if you get a good build this week, next week is gonna be great! The boosted spawns this week all focus on Thunder element, so build up your Thunder armor or weapons, or just focus on Kirin EDIs to help you augment your Fulgur Anjanath builds later in the month. And all 1 kilometer stones will stay 1 kilometer after the event, so make sure you end the event with a full inventory of whatever stone you're hoping to get a skill on. And that's it, hunters. Time Charger is now out while you're watching this, but while I'm filming this, it's not out yet. So I don't have a way to test whether Time Charger using a well-timed attack means that it's any time you charge it up and then release and hit, or if there's specific circumstances where Time Charger only works if something's fully charged, or if it's just 1 charge, etc. But I guess let me know in the comments, and let me know about the longsword that I was talking about earlier, if you're a longsword main, or the sword and shield charge up that I was talking about earlier. I'm really curious because it could be like something really sick where we combine like the Time Charger and Skyward Striker or something. I don't know if it's feasible because it's only like the first hit. But either way, let me know what build you're focusing on this week, and let me know if there is any way that you think that I could improve these builds down in the comments below. If I see an objectively better build, I'll pin your comment, or if there's lots of builds that I could improve, I will write them all in a pinned comment down below. And obviously, credit you. Thanks so much to my channel members for continuing to support my channel, especially Superwoman for being a G-Rank channel member. Please like this video if you guys liked it. Thanks so much for watching. Happy hunting, and subscribe so you can go on this hunting journey with me. Until next time, see you out there, hunters. If you want to see the rest of August's events, you can check out this video here, and you can subscribe by clicking this right here.